Hey there, nation, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and we are back with another episode of Way of the Warband. This series is dedicated to helping brand new players to Mordheim build their starting rosters and learn more about the game mechanics of their favorite warbands. And on today's episode, we're kind of doing like a little bit of a hybrid between a cheap shot as well as an episode of Way of the Warband, because we're talking about Hexbane's Hunters, which is a witch hunter warband from the skirmish tabletop game Warhammer Underworlds. As you can see in this photo, this warband is a beautiful warband with awesome sculpts. They're very easy to assemble and very quick to paint, and they would also make excellent witch hunters in campaigns of Mordheim. So if you're one of those kind of players who are interested in playing Mordheim, but let's say you already have this box of miniatures, you play Warhammer Underworld, and you want to transition to that skirmish game, it's very easy to do so. After all, if you can use the same box of miniatures for multiple game systems, you're basically winning the miniature wargaming hobby, in my opinion, because I'm a cheapskate and I'm here to help you save money on this one. So that's what we're going to talk about on this. Just to give you guys a little brief description about what Mordheim is. Mordheim is a skirmish game that was set in the setting of the Warhammer Old World setting that is coming out here pretty soon by Games Workshop. Mordheim was a city that was hit with an asteroid and a meteor shower that destroyed the city and made it to a post-apocalyptic wasteland. And what ends up happening is that warbands go into the city looking for weirdstone, which is a source that can only be found there, to sell in the open market and to enrich themselves. So different gangs and warbands go into the city for their own agendas to gather up this weirdstone. One of those warbands, of course, being witch hunters, which we're going to be using for this list as well. So what we'll talk about, of course, is we'll talk about the warband's rules, its fighters, provide you with a starting roster at 500 gold crowns to use in your first campaign, talk about how you use this warband on the tabletop, and of course provide you our overall conclusion of that. So that being said, let's talk about using Hexbane's Hunters in your games of Mordheim. Now, a quick little notation before we actually begin the video. The reason why is because the warbands I'm going to present in this video are not ideally used as optimized as you normally would for a game of Mordheim. And the reason why is because normally when you'd make a Mordheim warband, you would probably use the core of these miniatures, which is Hexbane's Hunters, and then get other miniatures to really flesh out a fully fledged optimized witch hunter list. So when you guys are looking at this list I'm going to provide you guys, it is not optimized for the best results for a Mordheim campaign. And the reason why is because I'm specifically making this video pretending that all you have is just a box set of Hexbane's Hunters and you're not going to get any other miniatures at all in order to play. So that is the list I'm going to make for this video to illustrate that, for your players as well. Now obviously, if you want to make a much larger witch hunter warband by using other miniatures in conjunction with Hexbane's Hunters, I might do a video about that later on. That'd be kind of a good video to actually do, but for this video specifically, we're going to be using just the Hexbane Hunters box set to make a warband, and that's all we're going to be using for this one. So I just want you guys to know this ahead of time when we go into the video, so that way if you're wondering what's going on with the list, for those who are veteran Mordheim players, that's why. Alright, so let's talk about the Witch Hunter Warband. The Witch Hunter Warband are supposed to be made up of religious zealots that are fighting within the depths of Mordheim, taking flame, pistol, swords, anything and everything that is not normal, anything that is supernatural or preternatural, they basically go after them as well. So they're religious fanatics with that point in mind. They're actually kind of religious fanatics. They're also very good hunters and good fighters in some cases, but they primarily use mob rules of like really desperate itinerant peoples to actually get things taken care of in the setting. So when you look at a Witcher Hunter warband, in most cases, traditionally speaking, the heroes of the warband do most of the fighting, most of the killing, and most of the victory for a witch hunter warband, while your henchmen are kind of like expendable chaff that you can throw at your enemy and just have them get chewed up for the most part. And the reason why is because the henchmen are actually quite cheap in terms of points, so it's easy just to replace them with new guys and have them be killed, while your witch hunters and your heroes do most of the fighting and the killing. And because of this, they traditionally end up being larger warbands than most human warbands in games of Mordheim. Imagine them as kind of like the Cawdor gangs of Necromunda. That's what the witch hunters are for games of Mordheim as well. So with that with that idea down, let's go on and talk about exactly the heroes and the henchmen that make up a witch hunter warband. Alright, so let's talk about the heroes real quick of a witch hunter warband. Whenever you're talking about a warband of any sort, you pretty much divide your fighters between heroes as well as your henchmen. For heroes in a Witch Hunter warband, you have what's called a Witch Hunter captain. They're actually quite good. They cost 60 gold crowns apiece. They will be the leaders of your warband as well. They have movement 4, weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 4, 3 strength and toughness, 1 wound, 4 initiative, 1 attack, and 8 leadership. They do have the leadership rule, which allows them to have models in the 6 inches of them use their leadership characteristic for most situations. And they also have a rule called Burn the Witch, which means that they have hatred towards models that can cast spells, which makes sense since, you know, they're witch hunters. And then, of course, you also have your warrior priests. Those guys cost, you can have 0 to 1 of those in your warband as well. They cost 40 gold crowns. They have movement 4, weapon skill, ballistic skill, strength and toughness of 3, 1 wound, 3 initiative, 1 attack, 8 leadership. And they also can use prayers, which are the magical spells that they can have in the Mordheim setting. And of course, you have 0 to 3 witch hunters to make up your heroes. They cost 25 gold crowns apiece. They have movement 4, weapon skill, ballistic skill, strength and toughness of 3, 1 wound, 3 initiative, 1 attack, and 7 leadership. And they also have the Burn the Witch special rule attached to those guys as well. Now, traditionally speaking, your heroes do most of the fighting and the killing in your battles of Mordheim, while your henchmen kind of act as chaff to be destroyed. So you'll be focusing most of the best equipment on your heroes. Now, let's talk about your henchmen. You have the Zealot, which costs 20 gold crowns or higher. These guys are actually quite poor. They have movement skill 4, weapon skill, ballistic skill 2, 3 strength and toughness, 1 wound, 3 initiative, 1 attack, 7 leadership. Like I said, these guys are usually pretty cheap to basically hire for your gangs as well. You want to give these guys the most bare bones minimum equipment, so that way they just kind of flood your enemies, kind of bog down your enemy fighters while your heroes go in and finish off your opponents. However, with that being said, you do have the Flagellant. Those guys, you can get 0 to 5 of those guys in a warband. They cost 40 gold crowns to recruit, and the reason why is because they're movement 4, weapon skill, ballistic skill 3, but they're strength 4 and toughness 4 with 1 wound, 3 initiative, 1 attack, and 10 leadership. Now, these guys are actually quite hardcore because of that strength 4 and toughness of 4. They can only take really, really powerful weapons like Morning Stars and double-handed weapons and flails, which gives them bonuses to their strength, which makes them even tougher to kill, tougher and more stronger to kill tougher enemies, I should say. But the only problem is that they can't take ranged weapons and they can't take armor, so they're quite fragile. So you are kind of behooved to kind of protect them for the most part. And then you have the Warhounds. You can recruit anywhere between 0 to 5 Warhounds as well. They cost 15 gold crowns to buy. They have movement 6, weapon skill 4, 4 strength, 3 toughness, 1 wound, 4 initiative, 1 attack, 5 leadership. And they don't need any weapons or armor, and they don't gain experience because of animals, but these are the silent killers in a Witch Hunter warband. More often than not, what you tend to do is not really get flagellants too much, and mainly get Warhounds and Zealots, because you can get a lot more Zealots than you can flagellants, and Warhounds are so quick with that strength 4 attack and that weapon skill 4, they're actually quite deadly just themselves. So if you're trying to put a warband together beyond what Haskell's Hunters actually has, that might be something you want to keep in consider when you create your own warbands for Mordheim. Now, with that being said, let's talk about using Hexbane Hunters from Warhammer Underworlds as a Witch Hunter warband in your games of Mordheim. Now, the source I'm using for this one is the Mordheim Living Rulebook. So if you're wondering where I get my point values from, that's where I'm getting it from as well. So once again, I'm just going to use, imagine you're going to use this one box set to make your entire warband, and that's how it's going to be created. First of all, you have Hexbane. Hexbane's going to be your Witch Hunter captain. It's going to cost you 145 gold crowns. You're going to equip this guy for heavy armor as well as a brace of pistols, so that way they can shoot multiple times with their pistols throughout a game. Usually you have to fire every other turn in a game of Mordheim with a pistol because you got to prepare your next shot, but with the brace of pistols, you can shoot every round. You can also use pistols in close combat, and that's where we're going to give this guy an axe to use in close combat as well. He automatically comes with the dagger, which is free in case you should lose your weapon for any reason. He's got the leader skill as well as the Burn the Witch skill. After that is Amos Duncaro, which is the big guy with the axe. He's going to be your other Witch Hunter, your very first of them. He's going to cost you 105 gold crowns. He's going to have heavy armor, so that way he's got a 5-up armor save, a double-handed weapon because that's what he's carrying. He's going to have a strength of 5 attacks. You're giving him a pistol to do long-range shooting with, as well as a dagger. Now, unfortunately, he only has the pistol, so you can only shoot every other round, but better than nothing, and you give him the Burn the Witch skill because he automatically comes with that. Now, the next Witch Hunter is going to be Quiet Pock, which is the guy over there on the right-hand side. He's the guy with the grenade-launching crossbow. Unfortunately, they don't have that in Mordheim, so anyways, he's going to be a Witch Hunter. Going to cost you 105 gold crowns. He's got heavy armor as well as a crossbow. He also has an axe as well. He's also going to be automatically come with the dagger for free and the Burn the Witch special rule. Now, unfortunately, in the game of Mordheim, crossbows are either move or fire. You can't do both in a single turn. So Quiet Pock is not going to be doing a lot of moving around. He's basically going to be standing in one place, sniping people with his crossbow for the most part. And then you have Bridget Axvold. She's also also going to be your last witch hunter. She's going to cost you 115 gold crowns. She's going to have heavy armor as well as a brace of pistols, as well as paired axes for close combat. So that way she can shoot every turn with her pistols. She could also have paired axes to give you +1 to your armor piercing to your enemies to make them easier to wound. She automatically comes with a dagger for free, and you're going to give her burn the witch skill because she automatically comes with that. And then for your henchmen, you're going to have 2 henchmen, which are 2 warhounds, which are the 2 warhounds provided in the box set, which are Grot Biter and Rat Spike. They're 2 warhounds that cost 15 gold crowns apiece for a grand total of 30 gold crowns in total. And this is going to have you a completely 500 gold crown list using just this box set. Now, if you want to purchase other miniatures to create the warband and make it larger, you could of course adjust the point values accordingly as well as the equipment these guys use. But like I said before, I'm just imagining that you're just using this one box set by itself. Now, your warband will be divided into 2 fire teams. You have Haskell Hexbane, Amos Duncaro, and Bridget Axvold will be your first fire team, while Quiet Pock, Grot Biter, and Rat Spike, the 2 warhounds, they will make your second fire team. And we're going to talk about exactly how to use the tactics for this warband on the next slide. Alright, so let's talk about your warband tactics real quick. So your first fire team consists of Haskell Hexbane, Amos Duncaro, as well as Bridget Axvold. Now the tactics in Mordheim are significantly different than Necromunda, and the reason why is because, unlike Necromunda, shooting is an important factor in Mordheim, but it's not as critical as it is in Necromunda, for example. So the tactics are a little bit different. Not to mention, in most scenarios in Mordheim, you're not really staying in one place, or you're not really trying to destroy the other warband, more as you're trying to scavenge, collect, move, and capture things, that sort of thing. So the tactics that you would use on a warband is more fluid, I guess, on a Mordheim battlefield. So it's a little bit harder to kind of like mitigate what you would do and understand what you would do for your gang for the most part. It just comes down to whatever conditions you're currently facing on the tabletop. But regardless of that, though, your first fire team, they're the maneuver element. These guys are the ones who move forward. They're the ones who gather, scavenge, and capture objectives. They're the ones who move. They also take the fight to the enemy with close combat. They also have short-range shootings with their pistols. So that's what this fire team does. It maneuvers the battle on the battlefield, doing whatever it needs to do to be successful to engage your targets. Now, fire team number 2 consists of Quiet Pock as well as your 2 warhounds, Grot Biter, as well as Rat Spike. The reason why these guys are going to be your second fire team, they're mainly going to be staying in place for the most part because Quiet Pock has a crossbow, which has excellent range in this game of Mordheim, but he can't move. He has to stay put if he wants to shoot each turn. He can either move or shoot, and that's all you can do with his crossbow. So Quiet Pock is not going to be doing a lot of maneuvering around. The only reason why he should be moving is because you're deploying him in a place with a good line of sight as well as good fields of fire, so that way he can lay down that long range shooting with his crossbow. Now Grot Biter and Rat Spike, they act as support, kind of like spotters, I guess, protecting Quiet Pock from being attacked. So if anybody tries to go after Quiet Pock, Grot Biter and Rat Spike can of course engage those targets and take them out. If you want to, you could kind of manipulate this where Quiet Pock is by himself and Grot Biter and Rat Spike can act as a flanking maneuver element. You could do that if you want to as well. Just be aware though that Quiet Pock will need to take all alone tests, which means he needs to take a leadership test every turn, and if he fails it, he won't be able to do anything. So just keep that in mind with the tactics when it comes to this warband. And there you guys have it. This is my overall video about how to use Haskell Hexbane's Hunters in your games of Mordheim. It's a beautiful box set with really awesome sculpts. They're very easy to assemble, easy to paint as well, and they would make a perfect narrative addition to Mordheim as witch hunters, which they are in the setting of Warhammer Underworld. So it is kind of great to create this this continuation of games that you can use from one set of miniatures as well. At the same time, by doing it this way, you can also save yourself a lot of money, have a lot of fun doing it by playing multiple games as well. Now obviously, if you want to use Haskell Hexbane's Hunters as a core of your warband and get other miniatures to support it, you could easily do that as well. But this video though is designed for just in case you just want to use Haskell Hexbane's Hunters just by themselves, and that's how I designed this video. So that's going to do for this, you guys. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is invaluable to us as always. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blog.com for all the greatest hobby news related to this channel. That's good for this, you guys. I'll catch you guys next one. Peace out and stay classy.